Hi, I'm Oscarito, and this is the series Wednesday 2. The gothic schoolgirl Wednesday returns to Nevermore, where mysterious disappearances once again draw her into dark events. Her visions grow more disturbing, trust begins to fade, and the true enemy turns out to be closer than she ever could have imagined. The series begins with a horrifying scene. We see Wednesday Addams tied up in the basement of a serial killer known as the Kansas City Scalper. Her face is streaming with black tears, surrounded by creepy dolls, trophies of the maniac's victims. But this is only the climax of the story. Going back 6 weeks, we learn that Wednesday had been studying her psychic abilities using Goody's spellbook. This serial killer case had captivated her since childhood. It was an unsolved case that gave her no peace. With Thing's help, who stole evidence from the police station, Wednesday gets a vision and sees the killer's face. After a thrilling scene at Newark Airport where Wednesday has to surrender a massive arsenal of weapons and SPF 50+ sunscreen, she sets out to hunt the killer. When the Kansas City Scalper touches Wednesday, she has another vision, and black tears begin streaming down her face. At this moment, she allows herself to be captured. The maniac ties her up and places her among his collection of creepy dolls, not suspecting the trap that awaits him. In the final scene of this prologue, Thing bursts out of one of the dolls and attacks the maniac, while Wednesday, with her characteristic cruelty, repays him in kind. She scalps him. Morticia informs her daughter that it's time to return to Nevermore Academy. Interestingly, younger brother Pugsley will also be attending the academy this year, having developed the ability to control electricity, the result of years of sticking his fingers in electrical outlets. On the way to the academy, the Addams family witnesses a mysterious incident. A man named Carl Bradbury is watching a couple in love in the forest when he's suddenly attacked by a flock of ravens. One of the birds is particularly ghastly. It's missing half its feathers and has one cloudy eye. Carl calls someone and reports that he's been had, but the evidence is safe. Wednesday becomes a real celebrity at the academy. Everyone wants autographs and selfies with the girl who saved the school. New student Agnes DeMille adores Wednesday. The new principal, Barry Dort, wants to make her the student of honor at the Founders' Pyre ceremony. Wednesday would rather pluck out her fingernails one by one than participate in this. In the dormitory, there's a reunion with Enid, who has now changed dramatically and has even lost interest in Ajax. While Enid has ambitious plans to join the secret society, the Nightshades. Pugsley moves in with Eugene, who has clearly lost several pounds. Apparently, the stress from last year's adventures did him some good. Their friendship develops slowly, especially after Pugsley views Eugene's insects as potential midnight snacks. A troubling element emerges. Wednesday has a stalker. An arrow flies into the room with a Polaroid photo of Wednesday and Principal Dort with a threatening greeting. We learn what happened to Xavier. After false murder accusations, he's now studying at Reichenbach Academy in Switzerland. Morticia is invited to chair the fundraising gala committee, while Principal Dort wants to restore Nevermore's glory by putting outcasts' abilities on display rather than hiding them from ordinary people. Carl Bradbury is found dead, and new Sheriff Santiago leads the investigation. Wednesday encounters Galpin in the forest, who tells her he was working with Carl on the case that cost him his life. Galpin still grieves over Thornhill turning his son Tyler into a monster, but Wednesday cruelly reminds him that Tyler was always a monster. Ajax tells the newcomers, including Pugsley, a terrifying story about the man with the clockwork heart, a wonderful animated sequence in Tim Burton's style, reminiscent of Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. The man is buried near the skull tree, and sometimes you can hear his clockwork heart ticking beneath the ground. At the Founders' Pyre ceremony, Wednesday's stalker steals her novel manuscript and threatens to burn it. Wednesday has to climb into the fire pyre itself to find her book. Principal Dort presents a painting of Nevermore's heroes, Wednesday, Enid, Bianca, and Eugene, but Wednesday is horrified that she's smiling in the painting. In her speech, she reminds everyone of her true nature. She's not a leader and only looks out for herself. In the end, she burns the painting. Meanwhile, Pugsley ventures to the skull tree and accidentally revives the man with the clockwork heart with his electrical abilities. Finally, he has a friend. The most dramatic scene of the episode occurs at the end. When Enid touches Wednesday's hand, she has a horrifying vision. With black tears on her face, she sees a flock of ravens in a dark cemetery. One raven sits on a headstone with a white rose in its beak. This is Enid's grave. Enid's voice echoes in Wednesday's ears, blaming her for her death. In the vision, a bloodied Enid strangles Wednesday, who writhes on the ground outside the vision while the real Enid and Morticia gather around her with concern. She wakes up with dried black tears on her face. Morticia worries about her daughter and explains that black tears mean extrasensory exhaustion. When Wednesday says she's fine, Morticia compares her to Aunt Ophelia. Morticia wants to take away Goody's spell book so Wednesday would wait for a new spiritual guide instead of rushing ahead. Wednesday is angry that her mother is stopping her. Lurch drives Wednesday and Thing to the city, while she recalls Galpin's warning, Xavier's painting, and her vision of Enid's death. Each of them featured a one-eyed bird. She asks Lurch to make a stop by Galpin's house, but it turns out to be boarded up and covered with graffiti. The door is open, and inside, Galpin's body lies in a chair with gouged-out eyes. When she looks into his mouth, ravens begin flying out and swarming around the room. They break the windows and fly outside, except for a one-eyed red raven that flies out last. When the birds disappear, Wednesday touches Galpin's body to use her extrasensory abilities but sees nothing. Before she can do anything, police arrive and Sheriff Santiago arrests her. Wednesday is taken to the police station for questioning. She tells Sheriff Santiago that Galpin invited her there, and the sheriff reports that Bradbury called Galpin right before his death. When the sheriff tried to call Galpin, he didn't answer, so they went to him, but the phone is missing. Wednesday explains that Galpin's son, Tyler, is a psychopath who hates his father and suggests he could have orchestrated this. However, Sheriff Santiago says Tyler is locked up in Willow Hill. Gomez appears and introduces himself as Wednesday's lawyer, taking her home. On the way home, Gomez wants to know what Wednesday was doing at Galpin's house. She tells him she met with Galpin the day before and he said he was working on a case. When Wednesday asks about Aunt Ophelia, Gomez replies that it's not his story to tell. The next day, Eugene catches Pugsley coming out of the bee storage. Pugsley shows him inside and reveals that he has chained up the boy from Skulltree. The boy has a hole in his skull and is missing his brain, but Pugsley controls him using electrokinesis. When the boy eats honey and vomits it up, Pugsley calls him Slurp. Wednesday tells Thing about her problems with her extrasensory abilities and her vision of Enid's death. When she enters the dormitory, she sees a trail of blood and Enid on the balcony with her throat cut. But Enid laughs. It's just jam, as today is prank day. Enid wants revenge for the fake eye that Wednesday left on her pillow. Wednesday realizes the eye is real and that a bird was supposed to bring it. Enid sees a message from Wednesday's stalker on the phone. When they call the number, Donovan Galpin's voicemail answers. Wednesday reports that Galpin was killed, so this must be his killer. Throughout Nevermore Academy, students participate in Prank Day. Ajax watches as Enid flirts with Bruno. Eugene releases tiger fleas on Bruno, and Ajax responds by releasing snakes that turn Pugsley and Eugene to stone. Wednesday approaches Principal Dort and Dr. Orloff and asks about someone who can control birds. Dr. Orloff tells her about avians. There haven't been such students for 10 years. At Rothwood Cottage, Bianca visits Morticia. They discuss the fundraising committee. Bianca shows Morticia a file and says Principal Dort wants a large donation from Morticia's mother. Morticia laughs and refuses to ask her mom. Meanwhile, Wednesday decides to go to Tyler to talk about his father. She steals Enid's driving consent form and poses as her to the instructor. When the instructor sees the Skull Tree Boy by the gates and gets distracted, Wednesday cuts the wires to his pedals and drives away. She arrives at Willow Hill and asks to see Tyler. Dr. Fairburn, the chief psychiatrist, leads her to the maximum security cell where Tyler is chained to the wall with a collar. He says he knew she would come and that she fell in love with the monster inside him. When Tyler gets angry and begins to transform, the guard activates his collar, controlling the hide. Wednesday informs Tyler about his father's murder and Carl Bradbury's. Tyler refuses to help and threatens to kill Enid when he sees her next time. Wednesday throws in his face that Marilyn Thornhill used him only because he's nobody. Back at Nevermore, Slurp escapes from Pugsley's trap. Enid brings Bruno to her room for tutoring and finds a gift for Thing, his mug shot from prison in Normal, Illinois, where he was called Fernando Fingertips. It's a birthday gift from Uncle Fester. Enid is sad that the Addams family forgot about Thing's birthday. Suddenly, Enid returns and panics. Something happened to Bruno, and Thing is locked in his house by a mysterious force. Principal Dort orders Bianca to use her siren ability on Morticia so she would invite her mother to the gala. When Bianca tries to use her power on Dort himself to make him stop forcing her, it doesn't work. He shows a pocket watch made of Corinthian coral, which makes him immune to siren charms. When Wednesday returns to the dormitory, she sees Thing trapped. Freeing him, she notices Enid's abandoned bag and the phone ringing. A distorted voice asks if he has her attention and says the game has just begun. Wednesday has 30 minutes to find Enid, and she can't involve anyone else. A card is slipped under the door with a heart drawing on the front and the words, "Play Dead" on the back. Enid wakes up chained to a chair back to back with Bruno at the top of Jago's clock tower. The tower had been closed for years after a strange electrical storm. Hundreds of knives hang above them. Wednesday meets Ms. Capri, who wants her in the orchestra. Then Wednesday realizes that the letters in "Play Dead" are actually musical notes. The heart on the card means organ, and she goes to the organ to play the notes D-E-A-D. This opens secret doors. Walking through the tunnel, Wednesday sees a masked figure who disappears, leaving behind a mask with "Time's Up" written inside. She finds an elevator and realizes they're in Jago's tower. In the tower, the clock mechanism moves the knives closer and closer to Enid and Bruno. In front of Wednesday stands a typewriter with the question, "What don't you see?" Type the answer to free your friends. There are piles of books around, and Wednesday realizes she needs to find the missing book. The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells is missing, and she types the title. The mechanism stops just in time. Hands begin clapping and Agnes DeMille appears, the student who asked for an autograph. She congratulates on prank day and introduces herself as Wednesday's #1 fan. Agnes explains that she wanted Wednesday's attention and devised the game with help from other Da Vinci students, whom she blackmailed with compromising Snapchat photos. Wednesday asks why she killed Galpin and put the eye on Enid's pillow. Agnes says she didn't do that. She just wanted to be friends and returns Galpin's phone. At Rothwood Cottage, Bianca uses a siren song on Morticia so she would invite her mother to the gala for a large donation. Wednesday apologizes to Thing for the forgotten birthday and gives him an antique torture screw. Thing worries about Enid, and Wednesday agrees that she needs to restore her extrasensory abilities to help save her friend. Thing tells her that Morticia took Goody's spell book. Wednesday notices a red-eyed raven watching her from the balcony, after which it flies away. Meanwhile, Slurp wanders in the forest. The driving instructor drives down the road and leaves Principal Dort a voicemail about how Enid Sinclair stopped his desire to teach Nevermore students. He hits Slurp, but when he gets out to check, he's already gone. Slurp sneaks up from behind and eats the instructor. The third episode begins with Morticia experiencing the sudden impulse to call her mother and ask her to become the guest of honor at the Nevermore Gala. She also feels guilty for forgetting Thing's birthday. Meanwhile, Wednesday tries to steal Goody's spellbook but realizes her mother is one step ahead of her. In a desperate move, Wednesday tells Morticia about her vision of the one-eyed raven and Enid's possible death, explaining that she needs the book to restore her extrasensory abilities and stop the killer. But this only convinces Morticia that Wednesday isn't ready to get Goody's book back. She's willing to risk her daughter's resentment for the sake of her protection, just as Grandma Hester should have protected Wednesday's aunt Ophelia. Because of this, Wednesday is forced to investigate the old-fashioned way. At Galpin's funeral, only she, Sheriff Santiago, and Dr. Fairburn are present. The doctor tells Wednesday that Galpin once visited Tyler at Willow Hill, which led to the boy's mad rage and attempt to kill his father. With the help of Agnes's friend who can shapeshift and is another Wednesday fan, she unlocks Galpin's phone. A voice message reveals the location of a hidden cabin in the woods near where Nevermore students will set up camp. This camping trip is the central event of the episode. Initially, Wednesday doesn't want to go, but when she realizes she can use it as a pretext to continue her investigation, she changes her mind. Morticia, Gomez, and Lurch also come along, while Pugsley secretly brings Slurp, who seems to be healing and regenerating his brain after the encounter with the driving instructor. A significant part of the episode is occupied by a game of Capture the Flag between Nevermore students and Phoenix cadets led by Ron Kruger, who booked the camp for the same period as Dort. The winners get to stay at the camp, and naturally Wednesday leads the team to victory. But Kruger isn't one to easily accept defeat and plans to retake Camp Jericho that same night during the celebrations. For Wednesday, there are no celebrations, as she and Thing go to investigate Galpin's cabin. Behind the mirror, they find a pile of obituaries of former Willow Hill patients, including hints that someone named Lois might be the next victim. To move forward, Wednesday needs her abilities back, so she challenges Morticia to a blade duel to determine whether she gets Goody's spellbook back. The duel takes place while other events are also happening. Enid officially breaks up with Ajax, Kruger activates the early warning system set up by Pugsley to protect Slurp and gets his brain eaten, and Wednesday loses the duel. Slurp's existence becomes public knowledge, and Wednesday is completely at a loss about how to proceed. At least she knows about the connection to Willow Hill, where Marilyn has just been transferred as a patient. The mystery deepens and danger approaches Enid with each passing minute. The fourth episode begins with Wednesday peering through a mausoleum at the cemetery and unexpectedly meeting her grandmother Hester. She shows her grandmother the details of her latest mystery and the connection to her vision of Enid's death. When Hester opens Patricia Redcar's urn, they discover there are no human ashes inside. Suddenly, the one-eyed raven appears and steals Wednesday's evidence. She chases the bird and sees a mysterious figure in a black cloak fleeing on a motorcycle. Wednesday asks her grandmother to buy the cemetery to find out who sanctioned the cremations and faked the patients' deaths. Next, Wednesday turns to Uncle Fester for help to get into Willow Hill and find Lois. She learns that her Aunt Ophelia was imprisoned there, which Morticia never mentioned. Fester checks into the Apple Hollow Inn and quickly causes chaos to get himself sent to Willow Hill. The plan works perfectly. When Wednesday confronts her mother about Ophelia, she finally admits that Ophelia went too far with her abilities, getting black tears like Wednesday, but Grandma Hester sent Ophelia to Willow Hill despite Morticia's pleas. Hester gives Wednesday the deed to the cemetery, which elicits a rare Wednesday Addams smile, and informs her that Augustus Stonehurst signed the death certificates. Morticia and Hester argue over Ophelia and the gala, and Hester agrees to donate to the gala if Morticia gives Wednesday the book. Without hesitating for a second, Morticia throws Goody's book into the fireplace. She seems to instantly regret her action. Once at Willow Hill, Dr. Fairburn and Judy conduct a psychological evaluation of Uncle Fester, but he's a unique patient. He asks around for someone named Lois. He misreads a cafeteria worker's name tag as Lois, but her name is actually Louise. However, he still kisses her in the pantry. Wednesday learns through Agnes that Stonehurst has been locked up in Willow Hill. Although Wednesday works tirelessly to save her friend, Enid is jealous of the time Wednesday spends with Agnes, but Wednesday can't tell her the truth. During their conversation, ravens attack the Nevermore courtyard, seemingly heading for Enid. A raven grabs Thing and he nearly falls to his death before Enid rushes to save him. Wednesday chases the mysterious cloaked figure but only finds the cloak at the foot of the stairs to the music room. She finds Dr. Fairburn, believing her to be the owner of the cloak. Soon after, Capri enters the room out of breath. Yes, she's still suspicious. Morticia warns Wednesday to stop what she's doing before things get worse, but she's already too deep into this case. Thing visits Fester to share news about Stonehurst. Fester quickly finds him and asks about Lois. His talking parrot knows information and Fester shocks him into revealing what he knows, 51,971. It's clearly a room number or some kind of code. Wednesday asks Orloff about Stonehurst and learns he was a normie who had a daughter with an aviary in Jago Tower. When Fester wheels Stonehurst in his wheelchair, he passes by Thornhill. He doesn't know who she is, but she instantly recognizes him and realizes something's not right. Stonehurst points to the maintenance service door and mutters, "Lois." Thornhill reports Fester to Fairburn, and before he can get into the technical room, Fairburn catches him and locks him up, along with Slurp. Wednesday comes up with a plan to sneak into Willow Hill through Capri's trunk, using help from Agnes and Enid. The plan works without a hitch. Wednesday successfully sneaks inside to free Fester while Capri plays a piano cover version of Zombie by the Cranberries for the patients. Slurp breaks his chains, breaks free, and attacks the guards. Thornhill also manages to escape. Wednesday and Fester enter the code to get into the technical room. Behind secret doors, they find Lois, long-term outcast integration study. It's an underground collection of outcasts being experimented on. As you guessed, these are all the patients whose deaths were faked. There's also a woman she doesn't recognize. The mysterious cloaked figure turns out to be Judy, who recruited Fairburn to be the public face of the asylum in order to secretly continue her father Stonehurst's work. She experimented on the patients she captured to turn herself into an avian. She wants to transfer abilities from outcasts to normies. Fester's abilities malfunction and cut the power at Willow Hill, releasing all the patients. Despite the guards' attempts, Slurp cannot be killed. While trying to free Tyler, Thornhill dies when he transforms into his hide and goes after her. Great, now he's on the loose. Slurp kills both Fairburn and Stonehurst, while Wednesday tries to escape with the mysterious woman but comes face to face with Tyler. He throws her out the window, sending her down to the ground, possibly to her death. Tyler attacks the police before fleeing. Thing stands by Wednesday's lifeless body on the ground. But as the second part teaser shows, this is not the end of Wednesday Addams. Wednesday wakes up in the hospital after Tyler's attack. Former Principal Williams introduces herself as a doctor and claims to have become her new spiritual guide. Wednesday refuses to believe it, but Williams explains that the previous guide sacrificed himself. The doctor accuses Wednesday of losing her psychic abilities due to abusing them. Judy Stonehouse conducts a press conference. 46 patients escape from Willow Hill, several deaths including the murder of the principal. They found 43 escapees, 3 dangerous ones remain at large: Fester, John Doe, and Tyler. Willow Hill is being shut down. Sheriff Santiago arrives at Judy's for explanations. Stonehouse claims everything happened accidentally. Judy's employee hides a body. She informs him that she caught all the lab escapees except patient 1938. Judy visits Wednesday, who threatens an anonymous tip about the laboratory. Stonehouse confidently denies it. Wednesday inquires about patient 1938. Upon leaving the room, Wednesday receives a bouquet of wilted flowers with a threat. You and Enid will die tonight. Tyler appears as a ghost. Bianca hides her mother at school from Gideon. Wednesday tells Enid that Tyler is alive and in Jericho, orders her to go home. Enid refuses, isn't afraid. Williams offers to tell the truth about the premonitions, but Wednesday declines. Day of the Dead is being celebrated. Wednesday asks Principal Thwart to cancel the holiday due to danger. He refuses. Judy's employee tracks Tyler, who transforms into a Hyde and kills the pursuer. Wednesday goes to Professor Capri for answers. Capri tells the story of her former Hyde boyfriend. His master ordered him to kill Capri, but he accidentally killed the master herself and went insane. Hydes cannot survive without a master. Wednesday considers becoming Tyler's master. Morticia catches her daughter studying the Thornhill organic chemistry formula, suspecting a connection to Tyler. Enid gathers the belladonnas. Pugsley and Gomez search for Slurp. After unsuccessful searches, they decide to visit the celebration. Slurp watches Pugsley and follows him. Officers find Judy's employee's body, conclude Tyler is collaborating with zombies. Patient 1938 heads to Nevermore. Agnes reveals she visited Wednesday in the hospital daily, braided her hair and measured clothes. Enid explains the Tyler situation to the belladonnas. Wednesday announces a plan to take control of him during the memorial procession. William suggests that Wednesday feels love, not hatred, toward Tyler. Slurp appears at the celebration and sows chaos. Pugsley finds Slurp, who looks more human and begs for a second chance. Pugsley lets him go. Patient 1938 meets with Morticia. It's Frances, Tyler's mother, whom Wednesday freed from Willow Hill. Thing reports that Tyler is on site. The hunt begins. Tyler pursues Enid. Everyone sets a trap. Wednesday tries to inject him, but the plan fails. Tyler attacks her. Frances appears in Hyde form and takes Tyler away. Wednesday realizes that Frances is Tyler's mother. Morticia confesses to the deal. Frances will control Tyler, then leave Jericho. Wednesday doesn't believe in the sincerity of the promise. Gomez reveals that Slurp is actually Isaac. Morticia admits that Frances is alive. Wednesday continues fighting for Enid's safety, feeling cornered with many unanswered questions. To warn the police about Tyler, a second monster appeared. Françoise Galpin, Tyler's mother, who was supposed to have died 15 years ago. Wednesday discovered that August Stonehurst faked Françoise's death after experiments in the Willow Hill basement. His daughter Judy knew everything and was covering it up. Principal Barry Don establishes a curfew. Spiritual guide Larissa Weems reminds Wednesday about the vision of Enid's death, blaming her lack of empathy as a weak link. Professor Orff tells about Françoise's brother, Isaac, a genius inventor who created a life support system for himself. His laboratory exploded. The body was not found, but there were rumors about burial under the skull tree. Wednesday realizes that Pugsley, the zombie, is Isaac. Pugsley says he freed the zombies but releases a 1938 photo. Isaac is searching for his sister. Tyler is visited by his mother in a safe place built by his father. She tied up her son because he released the Hyde. Without a master, the Hyde goes wild, so Françoise becomes his master. Professor Capri examines Enid. She transformed into a werewolf without a full moon, possibly an alpha. Enid worries because alphas always remain alone. Wednesday shoots with her grandmother. Grandmother tells about Rosalind Rotwood, the legendary raven professor buried at Nevermore. If a raven speaks the words from her tombstone, they'll receive temporary vision. Wednesday goes to Nevermore Cemetery with Enid. Rosalind offers a deal: hold your hand over the flame. If you endure it, psychic sight will be renewed. If you pull away, you'll pay the price. Enid interrupts, pulling Wednesday's hand from the fire. They wake up in each other's bodies. Grandmother knows about the broken raven's gaze. Wednesday in Enid's body returns to the tombstone. Enid in Wednesday's body drinks a colored potion, gets an allergic reaction. Morticia gives an antidote in mushroom capsules, invites her to a family dinner. Grandmother informs Wednesday about two similar cases. Both ended in death within 24 hours. Pugsley the zombie restores his body and goes to the underground room. Isaac reunites with Francoise and Tyler. Francoise coughs due to Hyde's condition. She's been living too long. Dr. Stonehurst stole Isaac's books, built a machine at Willow Hill, transferring abilities to ordinary people. Judy hunted Francoise, but Isaac dealt with her. They must return to Willow Hill. Wednesday learns that Rosalind lived in the cabin where her mother now resides. In a hidden room, she finds Rosalind's skeleton. Rosalind says that for healing, one must be willing to die in someone else's skin by dawn, revealing the deepest secrets of another's life. Enid in Wednesday's body reads her novel, where the character based on Enid is called Weak. Furious, she puts on bright clothes and dances through Nevermore. Wednesday in Enid's body confronts Bruno, who speaks Filipino. She knows the language and realizes he's betraying them. Agnes overhears. Agnes finds Enid in Wednesday's body, worried about the strange behavior. Enid yells at her, wishing to remain invisible forever. Agnes goes to a support group for spare parts. At family dinner, Enid in Wednesday's body can't eat exotic dishes. During family confessions, Pugsley confesses about the zombie. Larissa informs Morticia that grandmother pushed Wednesday to Rosalind's tombstone. Everything must be fixed independently by dawn. Isaac visits Professor Olaf, takes his gift, and steals his mind. Agnes sees this and screams, though invisible. Isaac takes Olaf's mind as an energy source for the Willow machine. Enid frees Wednesday from the wolf cage. Agnes reports that she found Isaac and Francoise with Tyler. They're heading to Willow Hill. The plan: save Agnes, defeat the Galpins, return to their own bodies. At Willow Hill, Tyler realizes the machine is designed to strip abilities. Being a Hyde is a curse, but only that way did he feel freedom. Agnes is captured. The girls arrive, free Agnes. Wednesday in Enid's body begins to transform into a wolf, losing control. Everyone flees before the explosion. Agnes, knowing the truth, returns to Nevermore. The girls run to Rosalind's tombstone, reveal their darkest secrets, and return to their own bodies. Larissa reports that the vision of Enid's death has disappeared, but now another Addams is under threat, only it's unclear which one. 15 years ago, Barry Dort recruited bartender Arnold Hunt to join Daylight Melody at Tiki Tales Bar. In the present, Dort discovers Arnold is now labeled a cult leader. He confronts Bianca and her mother, Gabrielle, revealing himself as the true leader of Daylight Melody. Wednesday learns from Agnes that the death vision has shifted. Now an Addams family member is destined to die. Agnes provides information about Isaac Knight's time at Nevermore. Wednesday confronts her parents about hiding Isaac's past. Gomez reveals Isaac was his best friend and roommate, with Morticia adding that Gomez was the only one who could reach Isaac's metallic heart. They tried protecting Isaac from those wanting to exploit his brilliance, including Augustus Stonehurst, who built the Yago Tower Lab. Wednesday discovers Isaac has fully regenerated and reunited with Francoise and Tyler, who never left town despite promises. She confesses to Morticia that she'd sacrifice Pugsley if necessary to save the family. At the academy, Bruno apologizes to Enid and asks her to the gala, but Professor Capri warns Enid about the dangers of becoming an alpha werewolf permanently. Meanwhile, Tyler, Isaac, and Francoise visit a vet clinic seeking medicine for Francoise's deteriorating condition. Wednesday discovers the Hyde's hideout and finds death butterflies that can guide her to their master. That night, she learns Bianca is in trouble and her mother has vanished, suspecting Dort's involvement. Dort meets with the Addams family, secretly controlling Bianca while flaunting donations from Wednesday's grandmother. Wednesday confronts Bianca, who uses her siren powers to erase Wednesday's memory before fleeing. However, Agnes repeats Bianca's words, revealing Dort's scheme to steal the grandmother's fortune. At the Angel Gala, the Addams family arrives in masks. Dort appears with Morticia's mother as his ally, crowned queen of the ball. Wednesday demands Bianca reveal her mother's location. Despite her erased memories, Wednesday knows the truth and asks Bianca to trust her to take down Dort. Bruno meets Enid at the gala, but Sophia unexpectedly arrives from Manila. Enid realizes she's been clinging to the past and tells Bruno she must face her new path alone. Later, she finds Agnes crying, who reveals Wednesday attacked her. Agnes admits she thought copying Wednesday's style would make them better friends. Enid comforts her, saying she doesn't need to hide behind someone else's personality. During the gala's choreographed dance, Agnes turns invisible to steal Dort's protective necklace, rendering him vulnerable to siren song. After the performance, Bianca takes the microphone and forces the unprotected Dort to confess his entire scheme. When cornered, Dort grabs Bianca and threatens her, but Ajax removes Beanie and turns Dort to stone. The chandelier crashes down, shattering the petrified headmaster. Wednesday's grandmother appears, inviting her for summer company, but Wednesday coldly refuses due to her grandmother's comments about Gomez. She demands a hefty donation to Nevermore in his honor as reconsideration. The grandmother agrees to the blackmail. Eugene suddenly alerts Wednesday that Isaac is at Nevermore Cemetery. When Morticia asks about Pugsley's whereabouts, they discover he's missing. At the cemetery, Isaac encounters Pugsley, asks for a favor, puts him to sleep, and kidnaps him. Wednesday and Eugene search desperately but find no trace of her brother. The search for Pugsley spans the woods and cemetery, but the sheriff finds no trace. She suggests an old enemy may be seeking revenge against the Addams family. At dawn, the headmistress advises Wednesday and Morticia to combine their psychic abilities, but Wednesday's powers remain unreliable. They turn to Wednesday's grandmother, Hester, for help. Hester questions why anyone would kidnap worthless Pugsley, but Wednesday realizes it's a carefully orchestrated trap. During a seance, Wednesday experiences a vision of her parents burying Isaac's skull. Under pressure, Morticia reveals the truth about that fateful night. Years ago, Gomez and Francoise met Isaac at Yago Tower, where he claimed to have built a machine to cure Francoise. The device required raw energy, and Isaac chose Gomez, who possessed the same electrical abilities as Pugsley. However, Isaac's true plan was sacrificing Gomez to save Francoise. When Morticia discovered her husband was dying, she sabotaged the machine, triggering the tower's explosion that killed Isaac and permanently stripped Gomez of his powers. Threatened by Augustus, the family buried the truth. Wednesday deduces Isaac's return means he plans to repeat the experiment using Pugsley as the power source. Despite warnings from Morticia and Hester, Wednesday prepares to intervene. Ajax approaches Enid, seeking renewed friendship after their breakup, which she accepts. Meanwhile, in a remote cabin, Isaac promises Francoise he'll keep his word, while Tyler creates false tracks to mislead pursuers. When Agnes's father arrives to collect her under tight security, Wednesday promises to free her the next day. Isaac intercepts Eugene in his bee shed, then sends Wednesday a box with a midnight meeting invitation under the skull tree. At midnight, Wednesday positions Thing with a crossbow before confronting Isaac and Pugsley. Isaac demands Pugsley fix his parents' mistakes, but when Thing fires, Isaac blocks the arrow. Tyler appears, seizing Thing and revealing a shocking truth. Thing was originally Isaac's severed hand from the night Morticia defeated him. Isaac forces Thing to reattach, regaining control over the limb, then buries Wednesday alive in a pit. Agnes witnesses everything and alerts Enid, who rushes to the scene. Finding Wednesday's weakening pulse, Enid makes the ultimate sacrifice, permanently transforming into her wolf form to dig Wednesday free. Wednesday awakens, realizes Enid's sacrifice is irreversible, and sends Agnes to stay with her transformed friend. When her parents and the headmistress arrive, Isaac uses his psychic powers to instantly rebuild his machine in Yago Tower. En route, Wednesday scolds her parents for hiding things' origins, while they claim they wanted to protect him from painful truth. At the tower, Morticia sends Gomez for the sheriff while she and Wednesday prepare for battle. Isaac powers up the lab with Pugsley as the energy source. Honoring his promise to Francoise, Isaac immobilizes Tyler as she chooses self-sacrifice over losing her son. Despite Tyler's protests, Francoise insists she's acting out of love. As Isaac begins the electrical discharge, Wednesday quietly approaches Tyler. Refusing his plea for death, she frees him instead. Tyler transforms into his Hyde form, attacking Isaac before turning on his mother, forcing her to reveal her true shape. The two monsters clash in a titanic battle that destroys the laboratory. As the fight spills outside and Gomez gathers the family, Wednesday returns to the tower to sever Isaac's hand and free Thing. An explosion rocks the lab, leaving Francoise dangling from the building's edge. Tyler reaches out to help, but she lets go and falls to her death. Tyler's anguished scream echoes through the night as police recover her body. Atop the tower, everyone regains consciousness except Morticia, trapped under machinery. When she awakens and smiles, Wednesday realizes her death premonition hasn't come true. Isaac appears, strangling Wednesday as punishment. In desperation, the family begs Thing to return. Though Wednesday's attempt to amputate the hand fails, Thing breaks free entirely, lunging at Isaac and ripping out his heart in one decisive move. Thing tears apart the threads binding him to Isaac and returns to his true family. The next day, Wednesday asks Thing how it feels to be an extension of ancient evil. Thing hesitates, but Wednesday reminds him that while he can't control his origins, he can choose his future. When pressed, Thing throws a ring, signaling his commitment to stay by her side. Agnes arrives with news that Enid's tracks lead north, 8 kilometers from the Canadian border. At the cemetery, Professor Capri visits Tyler, offering him membership in a hidden pack of Hydes who operate as equals rather than under a single master's control. Though cautious of the werewolf, Tyler listens as she reveals her father was also a Hyde. Eugene bids farewell, giving Pugsley a box of cockroaches and inviting him for future visits. Morticia gifts Wednesday her sister Ophelia's journal, finally understanding that keeping secrets brings painful consequences. The headmistress informs Wednesday that restoring family connections has renewed her psychic abilities, thanking the Addams family before departing. To her parents' surprise, Wednesday announces she's not returning home yet. Instead, she joins her uncle to rescue Enid. Reading Ophelia's journal, she experiences a vision showing Enid alive and well. Meanwhile, in the catacombs, Hester finds her trapped daughter painting a sinister message on the walls, a chilling demand to kill Wednesday. That's the end of Season 2.